So if you're in zone 3, you're probably thinking that it's time to actually start shutting down any sort of new plant activity. But I'm here today to give you a list of seeds you can start direct sow in your garden, as well as seeds you could check out at your local greenhouse that are already starts. And when I mean starts, I mean have between 3 to 6 new true leaves going. But most of you are likely doing this to help save on that grocery bill and become more self-reliant on the space you do have in your yard. And that means you would benefit from Skillshare, today's video sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning platform that allows you to take different courses done by teachers that are experts in their field. It'll give you a class project at the end, and one of their main focuses that they like to look at is actually having an income outside of your 9 to 5. So if you're looking to diversify your income using your garden through either a microgreens business or fresh eats business, preservatives, you name it, then Skillshare is the place to check out. I recommend 2 courses if you're going to actually do this from the perspective of learning more about how to make money off your garden. Then I highly recommend you check out the productivity and time management videos. There's several done even by YouTubers like Ali Abdul, Kevin Skisser. The list is truly endless. And then you could also check out other courses on just diversifying your income and how to earn a passive income. There's some done by Tiffany Emery, Elisa Souza, and all of them range from 30 minutes to upwards of 2 hours. And sometimes these courses could be even longer depending on what you are looking for. So the first 1,000 people to click the link down below in the pinned comment will actually get 1 month free of a Skillshare subscription. I also have Skillshare courses over on their website, so you can check out those as well. One of the next ones I'm going to be releasing is actually just on seed saving, preserving, and things of that nature. So thanks Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. And with that being said, let's get into how we can lower your grocery bill with seeds you can start in a cold climate such as zone 3. So when it comes to starts, I'm going to list them here. The reason why I'm just going to list them and not go through them as much is because these will be just available at the greenhouse, and you're kind of at the whim of what the greenhouse provides because it's way too late for some of these crops to be direct sown. However, for the crops that can be direct sown, that is what we're going to be talking about here today. So it's very likely you're starting to get a few empty spots in your garden, and you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't want to necessarily replant it entirely, but I am concerned about soil erosion or just the loss of soil building in that time lapse between now and when the snow finally hits and the ground freezes. And the answer to that is actually cover cropping. Now, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail in this video about cover cropping, but right now is a great time to actually sow those seeds for your cover crop. I'm doing a separate video on what cover crops you should grow depending on what zone you're in or what kind of climate you're dealing with, because that is actually very important. But I do have previous videos on choosing a cover crop based on what kind of soil amending you would like to see. So cover crops is definitely option 1 for starting seeds here in August for zone 3 upwards to zone whatever. So the next one is actually spinach and arugula, and that is what I have started in this container. Now you can direct sow these, of course, or you can start them as starts and then transplant them once you get some true leaves on. So for me personally, I like to start as starts. The only reason for that is because I'm not entirely sure just yet what I want to plant where, in particular where I'm going to put like my garlic bulbs and where I'm going to actually do my winter cover. So I start mine just mass sown in here, and in this case we have my spinach up in this corner. And if you didn't want to start them direct, then you could actually just simply do a broadcast style seeding in and amongst your tomatoes or your taller plants. Next up is things like radishes and turnips. Now most radishes and turnips, as long as they're not on the overly exotic side of things, only have a turnaround time of about 30-ish days. For me in Saskatchewan, my first frost date in Saskatoon is somewhere around September 16th, so that gives me time to actually grow these without any cover. I don't even have to think of cover if I'm sowing radishes. And there are some turnips out there that also fall under that envelope of things you could start now here mid-August to end of August and still get a harvest without coverage into September. So radishes and turnips definitely next on the list. And these also direct sow. So this next one is actually just a blanket term called Asian greens, but one of my favorites in this is pak choi. There's bok choy. There are just Asian green labels out there, all of which will be able to be sown, direct sown in the soil, put in a start scenario like what I'm doing here in August. And again, zone 3, frost sometimes mid-September-ish. Now, what you're going to look for is the days to harvest. Some of these Asian greens, in particular the Asian cabbages, can get really long in the tooth for harvest, so somewhere around 60 days. I'm going to do a video on this to kind of give you guys a little bit better idea of what I'm talking about. But essentially for winter gardening or fall gardening, we have to keep in mind how many hours of light we have in our area. So once we get to about October, mid-October for me, I end up falling under that 10 hours of light per day. So I actually don't get any active growth past that point. That means whatever I have grown foliage wise at the mid-October month will not begin to pick up again until the days exceed 10 hours. So in this case, I can go with the pak choi bok choy. It is 50 days to harvest, so this you may need to cover if you're looking for particularly large heads of this. So that is something to keep in mind, but definitely something you can start in October if you intend to do some winter or fall gardening, and or you just want some smaller size pak choi before that first frost does hit. So next up we have collard greens or mustard greens. Now this is, for me personally, a taste you have to like in order to use. These can be used in everything from pastas to stir fries, but for me they have a very specific texture and a very specific flavor. So if you're gonna grow these, just make sure you like to eat them, but these are definitely ones you can direct sow anywhere from mid-August to the end of August, depending on where you are. Okay, so this one's my favorite when it comes to fall and winter cropping, and that is cilantro. Cilantro is one of those plants that very quickly turns to flower in just regular summer months here in zone 3 and in pretty much every zone across Canada and the US. However, cilantro direct sown right now will yield you very good results and will not go right to flower. Now, if you want to keep them longer in the season, you have to obviously cover them, but if you want to get some really tasty cilantro before the frost hits, right now is the time to actually start those seeds. Okay, so broccoli was officially one of the ones that made the cut for actual starts you can plant outdoors right now, but broccolini is one of those plants you can start right now and actually get a harvest from before the first frost, and if not before the first frost, a little bit into it, because they are slightly frost tolerant, meaning a simple watering and a blanket thrown over top at night when you do get those frost warnings will be enough to keep that crop going until it is harvestable. So broccolini is a great choice. If you don't know what broccolini is, it's like miniature broccoli, exactly like what the name sounds like. It's really tasty. It's good, kind of like a sauteed type version. Great in stir fries. You can use it just like you would normal broccoli. The only thing I don't love about it is just like raw eats. That is reserved just for broccoli in my case. Okay, last up. These may be baby beets and carrots if you start them now, but they're definitely a choice you can make, and that is carrots and beets. These bad boys, because everything is underground, can not only survive well past a frost, even a hard frost in our zone 3, but they also can be left in the ground until the ground entirely freezes. And if we wanted to preserve it even longer, we could actually mulch it and insulate that ground to help keep it nice and malleable until we are ready to harvest. So those are two great options there. If you choose to do broccoli or carrots, of course, choose varieties that have shorter days to harvest listed on the packaging. Again, days to harvest is just this wording down here. They'll say 30 to 50 days or whatever the case is. We want to go for something that's, in the lower ranges. Some carrots and beets are really exotic and can really push the envelope in the number of days. So if we can aim for that 1 to 2 months, we should be just fine. If you guys have any other ideas for harvestable goods that are 30 days or less, then toss them in the comments down below. You will help a number of cold climate gardeners out there try to get a second harvest off their garden as they begin to pull things off for the final year. I will see you guys in the cover crop video coming out later this week. Talk to you later. Bye.